Hi, welcome to the life of a Latina engineer. So for this week's video, I thought it'd be cool to answer some of the questions that I get asked the most as an engineer. And what better way to do this video than wearing my engineering shirt. I also have another one that says ingeniera, which is female engineer in Spanish, but I love this one because it's pink. But before we get to the video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel and hit the little notification bell so you can get notified every Saturday when I post videos about engineering school, internships, and first years as an engineer. And now, let's get to those questions. Okay, so I made a list of questions I could ask either on stories or in interviews I've had, and I think the most asked question, or the question that they asked me the most, is what got me into STEM and what got me into engineering. But before we start, I work as a manufacturing engineer. I graduated May 2019, so it's been a year since I've been working. Well, it's been a year and a half because I started working before I graduated. But I study mechanical engineering. So at work I do a mixture of both, of mechanical and manufacturing engineer. And yeah, so that's what I do, just so you know what area in STEM I am and specifically what engineering I'm doing. So what got me into STEM? I think getting into STEM wasn't really like a question I had. Like, I always liked math, I enjoyed it. It was something that I was able to understand whether I was in Mexico or I was here. And when I got here, it was one of the classes where it was the easiest one that I found, that I was able to transition because there was not a language, it was just numbers and equations. So it wasn't as difficult to do the transition in math. Another thing that I always remember liking since I was young was, for example, solving divisions by hand. I would be probably the one that would finish them the faster at school, and I just like feeling that my brain was thinking and was trying to solve the problems. That just gave me a sense of accomplishment. But when I was in high school, I didn't really know what I could do with it. And you know, you get your classmates that typically they don't like math or they don't want their science classes. They try to take as less as they can. And then there was me, who enjoyed math, who wanted to do something with math but wasn't really sure, and it was kind of like, what do I do with it? Like, yeah, it's numbers, but what is it good if I don't really do anything with them? So eventually I got to my senior year. I still didn't know what I wanted to do. I had looked into nursing, into business, into every single career, and I was like, okay, I don't know what to do. The only thing I know is that I like math somewhat. So I took my physics class, and honestly I wasn't sure if I wanted to take it. Everybody in my grade was trying to avoid taking that class. It was just like, okay, we're done with our science courses, let's just get out of here and take other classes. But I went into it, and at the beginning I struggled and I wanted to get out of the class, but then I learned to love it. Like, I found something that was actually challenging me and that I was enjoying, even though it was really painful because I was getting bad grades and I was struggling with it. But I stuck through it. My parents, they talked me to get into it. My counselors told me to stick with the class, and it was something that I just fell in love with. I fell in love with the problem solving. I fell in love into trying to figure it out, into fighting to get a better grade, into fighting to solve the equations, to finding how to solve it, to understanding the problem, and that's what really got me into it. So once I got to college, I went into college thinking that I was going to be a physics major. So there I go into my first physics class. I skip a math class and I do horrible in my first test. But again, it was something that I liked, so I had to learn that it was going to be a challenge and it was going to take me hard work to get through it. Now, you're probably thinking, how do you go from physics major to a mechanical engineering major? So actually, that's when I was struggling that much in physics, and as I was learning more about physics, you know, in high school you only get to the very basics, to the mechanics part of it. And so I learned that that was specifically what I like. It wasn't as much all the other areas of physics, because physics has so many things to cover. So that's where I started getting the ideas of maybe something that only focuses on this area of physics, and that's where mechanical engineering came. And honestly, there wasn't a lot of information that I took into account. It was mostly like, I like that mechanical engineering cover the areas that I like in physics. It was a good career. It was the most diverse career. So I just went for it, and I am really glad that I did. It is something that I really like, and it does prove that you can find something in a subject that you really like and you can focus on that. It doesn't have to be like you have to like all your science classes or all your math classes or all the classes in your major to be liking your job and enjoying your career. So the second question I have is, why do you pick mechanical and not civil or electrical or any of the others? Like I said, I was able to take those classes where told me, you know, I like this area of a certain subject, and you know, there was a major that focused on that certain area, And mechanical engineering is so broad where you can do whatever you want. Like, you don't have to be a mechanical engineer on its own. Like, right now I'm working as a manufacturing engineer, so definitely I saw it as a career that maybe I don't know everything about it, but it is something that I can do multiple things with. I can focus on a certain area, or I can keep my major general. So it was just a way to, take a major that was challenging for me, that was something that I already enjoyed, and that gave me the opportunity to find different ways or different paths as I completed my career. Another thing that also helped me to find out that it was mechanical is taking different classes. For example, as mechanical engineers, we still take the basics of industrial engineering or electrical engineering. So that way I also kind of proved myself that it was, I wanted mechanical engineering, and while I was able to do electrical and I enjoyed it, it wasn't, something I felt as passionate about as mechanical classes. Especially when you get to SolidWorks and 3D modeling and all the statics and mechanics of everything. That was something that really sparked my interest, and I wanted to keep learning about it, and it really made it easy that it was that career, the one that I wanted to study. So next question is, what was your least favorite class? And my least favorite class was by far chemistry. I failed that class once, I had to take it again, and even the second time I took it, I didn't really understand it. I actually didn't take chemistry when I was in high school because I was moving countries. I went to 3 different high schools, so at the end it just kind of got lost and I never took it. So that didn't help. By the time I go to college, I had to take chemistry. But then once I got to college and took it, I didn't enjoy it, I didn't understand it, and it was just something that, I had to get through to get my mechanical engineering degree. And like I said, it reinforced the point that you don't have to like every single subject in science to be a STEM major, or every single class that goes into your career. You will have to take it, but you will always get the option to pick an emphasis of your career, or maybe keep it general, but then when you look for a job, you don't have to be doing something that relates to that subject that you might struggle or that you just don't enjoy. Okay, so how did you start organized in school? And I think I didn't. I think I just kind of went with it. Like, you know that your homeworks are assigned, at least for us, we're assigned once a week, and then we do a week after that. And with tests, I kind of just went over the syllabus and I knew where they were. I just knew to know those dates, not to miss them, and that was it. So mostly what I use is either just a sheet of paper and just write a list, and then I would just cross off everything I completed. Other than that, I did use a digital, it was like a to-do list, so it let me divide it by classes, but honestly, it's so different for everyone. I know people use their online calendars. I personally can't do it until today. I actually started using it again, but I don't think it's gonna last more than a month. So everybody has their own ways of doing it. Okay, so next question is, were you involved with any organizations in college? So I started my career in a community college for my first 2 years, and then I transferred into a 4-year university for my last 3 years. When I was in a community college, I was actually very involved. I was part of Latina Engineers, and then I was the president of STEM Club my second year in college. So that was, a lot of time consuming. It was something that I enjoyed. It was a club that, from having, 5 members the year before me and then everybody graduating, to me picking it up and then doing all the engagement and then doing activities to get people to join. And we got it up to maybe 30-35 people. Once we saw that growth, we had to do more events. We had guest speakers, we had field trips. So, and it was all STEM related. It was something that I wanted to use, to show the diversity there is in STEM, especially because I was a female, a Latina, and an immigrant in STEM. So it was something that has always been really important in my career and in my life. So I try to make it as diverse to show that, you don't only need male students in STEM, that could be in the club as well. So it was something that I really enjoyed. The bad thing about community college is that people only go for 2 years and then they leave. So it is a lot of high rotating. You have the members 1 year, they are maybe they join their second year and then they're gone. And then you need to recreate the club again. So that was very challenging. Another thing is I did have a negative experience from that. As the president of the club, the other people had other views. They would think that I wasn't a good enough leader and I was targeted. I was publicly gave really negative comments to the point where I was scared. My family was scared of me going to campus on my own. So that was some of the challenges. I saw that, they were impactful, especially because, you're venturing into a career that you already don't feel comfortable because you're a minority. And then you have those experiences and it's just like, what am I doing here? Like, I'm obviously not accepted. People obviously don't see you, like, you can do all these things. But it is things that I learned from, and it is an experience that, you grow from it. Now, once I transferred to my four-year university, which is Northern Illinois University, that's when I kind of stopped getting involved. I wish I had. My problem was that I was a commuter, so I would typically only go for classes and then go back home, and I used to live about 40 minutes away. So once I went home, I wouldn't drive back to the school, and usually, my classes will be over at like lunchtime, and then the meetings for the clubs will be, at 7 p.m. So for me to like stay all those hours between the club and the classes was just really tiring, especially because I didn't have somewhere to rest. I had to be either, at a library or someone else's house, or, outside the classrooms just waiting. So that was a long time for me to stay. And most of the time I was also helping my family, so it was just a decision that, it is important for me to focus on my career and on my family. And, that got me through college. But honestly, getting involved in clubs that, get you hands-on experience, or just meeting other students that maybe are a semester ahead, you make those friendships. They can help you, they can guide you to classes, they can tell you what professors to take or what professors to avoid. So it's something that I definitely recommend, and it's something that I definitely wish I did, but unfortunately I wasn't able to do. Okay, next question is, what obstacles did you face or fears, and how do you overcome them? I think the biggest obstacle I had was convincing myself that I could do engineering. It was mostly myself trying to convince that I could do it. Knowing that I could do it, just maybe getting a bad grade and thinking it is the end of your career, that maybe you should switch majors, and it is not the case. So a lot of time I would just feel like I wasn't good enough because I failed a test or because I couldn't understand my homework, and I would go through the process of, you can do it, you can't give up, you have to work hard, you knew this was challenging, and you can't just drop it here. I mean, what are you gonna do if you get out of school now? So it was a struggle. It was something that I went through, almost every other month, if not every semester. I stuck through it. I was really proud that I did. When I picked engineering, I knew it was a challenge, and when you complete that, you're counting the days for graduation, you're counting the semesters, how many classes you have, and the moment you say, I'm here, I was able to complete my career as an engineer, at least my education as an engineer. It's just the best feeling that I've had. Graduation was probably the happiest time. It was, I made it, now I get to be an engineer. Like, I get to call myself an engineer, and I have an engineering job, and there's no one that can tell me that I can't do it, because if I go through this, I can get a job and I can be an engineer. I already proved that my hard work is working. Okay, so next question is, what is something that you would tell your younger self? And I think this one applies more as being an immigrant. I had it kind of tough, getting used to being here, especially because it was during my teenage years. So, I would think, nobody would talk to me, or if they did, it was just kind of like, it wasn't able to build true relationships all the way up to I was in college. And it was something that made it hard. It was something that made me think, what am I doing here? What do I need to do? I need to find something that I am passionate about. And I felt like I didn't have a purpose at times, especially when you're just at a younger age, where you care so much what other people think, and you're just trying to fit in, you're just trying to make other people like you. And what I would tell myself is that those things really don't matter at all. It just matters what makes me happy and what I want to do. Because at the end of the day, maybe all the people that you met in high school, and which was my case, you might talk to one or two people. Or maybe you don't talk to any of the people that you met in high school. To me, I got out of high school and I focused on my career. I focused on my education because it was a goal that I've had since I was younger. I would always picture myself going to college. It didn't matter what career it was. I knew I wanted to go to college and have a professional career. So I got out of high school and I focused on that. It was the best thing I could do. I couldn't follow my friends to, maybe they were going to parties, or maybe they were going to college, or maybe they were moving away or getting married. I focused on my education because that was my own personal goal. And along the way, I met other people that had similar goals, similar ideas, and those are the people that stayed in my life because we had that to bond over, and our lifestyles go together, and those are the people that support each other, and we want the best for each other. So that would be something that I would really tell myself, is like, just focus on yourself, don't worry about anyone else, don't let others stop you from doing what you want or from changing the things that you like. So next question is, advice for future Latina engineers. And I think it will be that to believe in themselves, that the path is going to be hard. It might be lonely, but you can do it, and if it's something that you enjoy a lot, it's gonna be worth it every single time. Going from, your first class in engineering, maybe for me, for example, it was Calc 1, and you have 50% women and 50% men, because a lot of careers in college require Calc 1 no matter what. and then you see, and you know, the decrease of women and females in engineering, I mean, in your classes, it's just like, wow. Like, you know, you start 50% and 50%, and then you start being one of two girls out of 50 students, and you're like, what happened here? And you know, everybody has different experiences with their classes in engineering. For me, they were bad. I didn't like it. I didn't like how guys would only talk to me because they were interested in dating, or they would just not talk to me at all. Other girls had it where they were able to make friends and they didn't treat them any different. So everybody had their different experience. But if you do end up in that case where you might be lonely, or you see that your classmates really don't feel like you belong there, and it gets worse when you start thinking about Latinos in STEM. The numbers are just through the floor, especially for a Latina in engineering. So it is something else that is challenging, just knowing that you look different, that maybe you have interests that make it harder to connect with other students. So definitely it can be challenging at times. And another thing that, for example, that happened to me is like, once I was able to finish my career and I started this account, that's when I met so many other Latinas or even women in STEM, and that has helped me out a lot. And I wish it was something that I had found when I was still in college. It would have motivated me, it would have kept me going, I would have had these other friends to talk about my classes, because I really didn't. So definitely reach out to people, and especially if you're here today and if you're watching this, you're already reaching out, you're already meeting other Latinas in engineering. And just look on Instagram, and we are so many girls, and it's just like, it's incredible, and it just makes me kind of sad to see that, you know, a couple years ago we couldn't do that, and right now we're just like emerging, we're all getting our degrees, and we all want to make our voices heard, because we want that increase of women and Latinas in STEM, because we know we're very few and we know the challenges that it comes with, and we want that to change. My next question is, how do you get your first job? My first job was actually through an internship. So I did 2 internships at the same company. The company is the company that my dad used to work for. So I did my first internship at one of the branches of that company, and then I did my second internship at a different location that had a different industry. And you know, I had my second internship, and then I went back to school, and they actually reached out to me that they wanted me to see if I wanted to take a position at the company. I first got offered a quality engineering position, which I declined because quality was something that I didn't want to go into, because I was trying to focus on design in mechanical engineering. And then I got a second call back asking me if I wanted to take a manufacturing engineering position that had just come available. So with this one, you know, I thought about it, and I was like, you know what, I want to be a design engineer. Manufacturing will help me understand how things are done, and it will make me a better designer. So, you know, I took it, and this position came with an internship that was 6 months while I finished my studies, and at that time I only had 2 classes left, so it was easy for me to either commute to school or commute to work, which they were actually opposite directions from my house. So I was right here, and I was either to work or to school, and they were both like an hour away from my house. But you know, I took it, and I had those 6 months that I was already taking, you know, manufacturing engineering responsibilities, but I didn't have the title yet because I was still in school. But the good thing is that my contract came with an automatic transition to a full-time manufacturing engineer. So I graduated in the following week. I was upgraded to a salary pay, and you know, I basically earned my title. But you know, I have those extra 6 months of experience that pretty much were the same thing. It's just that I wasn't there every single day. So that's how I got my first job, and honestly now I feel like it's something I enjoy. It's something that is so much fun that you're never bored of, and it's something that I'm really glad I took, especially because it's a small company. So I am able to learn so much more. I am able to do so many different roles, and it is a place where I feel like I'm learning a lot, and it is something that I wasn't expecting to take, especially the position as a manufacturing engineer coming with a mechanical engineering degree. It was something that I did not see, but it is something that I enjoy and I really like. And honestly, for my next job, I will be kind of conflicted to know, you know, do you want to stay in manufacturing, do you want to go into engineering? Because in my job right now, I'm able to do both. I'm a manufacturing engineer, but I get to help the design team, so I get to do half and half, and that is pretty awesome to me. Now, a question that goes along with that is, what is the favorite part of your job? And the favorite part of my job is problem solving, which is pretty much what makes engineering. So if something goes down, if something's not working, if a part is not being made like it's supposed to be, we're the ones to call, and we're the ones to address the problem. We're the ones to come up with the solution, to see how to fix it, to see how to redo it, to see what we have to change. And that brings a lot of excitement to me, because it's like, you know, you have to critical think on the spot, you have to brainstorm, you have to problem solve. So that is what makes this job so much interesting because, you know, if you're a design engineer, which I do kind of like part-time in my job, you know what you're doing, you know you're designing, you see the product, you know what you're expecting to come out from. But when we're called as manufacturing engineers, and manufacturing engineer has many other things, but this is my favorite part. It's like, you know, you're working and literally they're like, can you come over? And you go over and you address the situation. So that is something that, you know, it takes you out of whatever you're working, and it just, you know, it's something that you're never expecting. So it is fun. I mean, it's not good, but it is fun to see that happens, and you have to problem solve like right away. Okay, so I think those are all the questions I have for this video. If you have more questions and you want me to do a part 2, leave them in the comments below and I'll collect all the questions and I'll come up with a second video with more questions if you guys do have them. If you like this video and if you want to see a part 2, be sure to click the like button. It helps me out a lot to know that you like this and to know that you want to see more content like this. Again, don't forget to subscribe, and if you are already subscribed, hit the little notification bell so that you can get notified next Saturday when the next video goes up, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye.